Morning, everybody. Giovanni Williams here. Just want to share my thoughts. Basically, um, where should I start? I want to start by saying that if we one of the things we need to understand as a people. I mean, this is for everybody, because at the end of the day, not only Africans, the African diaspora being affected by terrorism, everybody is. On a whole, I think one of the things we have to realize is that certain things that we do and partake of help to fund terrorist attacks. Now, I'll start by saying this. One of the things we have to understand is we have to be realistic. I'll start off by saying churches. I don't have a problem with people going to church. I have a problem with people still believing that you're giving 10%, you're giving 1/10 of your salary, excuse me, to a church, and that 1/10 you're giving is for either saving up something for you in heaven, or it's how should I put it? It's preparing a place for you in heaven. I'll put it that way. Or you're paying the pastor to teach you and all those things. That's one of the things we have to come out of, people. I mean, the time has come for us to realize that this is a sham to continuously take our money and keep us in poverty. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it without being apologetic. Churches today are used to keep people in poverty by continuously asking them for money. If you study the history of Jesus, because I'm speaking to a lot of people who go to church here. If you study the history of Jesus, at no point in time did Jesus go anywhere and tell people, give me money to do the work of my Father. Nowhere. Okay? I'll go further on to say, and I'll say this proudly, the last book of the Old Testament, which is Malachi, if I'm not mistaken, spoke about tithes and offerings. When you go into the New Testament, there is no book in the New Testament speaking about giving tithes and giving offerings. When you read the New Testament, they speak about bringing love offerings. There is nothing in the New Testament speaking about tithing 1/10. Okay, so you can imagine now, we move on to a lot of churches. They deal with the New Testament, but they still use the Old. They still use the Old Testament. How should I say? They still use the Old Testament structure for giving 1/10 of your money. But everything you do is based on the New Testament. So why is it now you're teaching the people the truth that in the New Testament has nothing to do with tithing? It says a love offering. So a love offering now is what you can afford to give. Okay? This thing with people telling people, give this notion in the church where the pastor will get up and say, the Lord say I must give $200-300. No. A love offering is something that somebody can afford. Okay? And I'm going out and I'm going to say this because I'm going to go into basically what the video is supposed to be. All of this is part of what I want to bring across to people. Number one, you're giving away your money to the church, 1/10 of your money. That money you should be putting in a savings account for yourself and your family. Number one. Number two, a love offering is something that you can afford. Okay, and the New Testament does not speak about tithing, giving 1/10. It speaks about offering. Okay, when you go through the New Testament, you will realize that the offerings the priests were offering up were incense. So they were burning the incense, and the smoke from the incense was going up as an offering unto the Lord. Okay. Now number 3. Remember when Ananias and Sapphira, I think, said we bring in they gave a love offering, but they were supposed to give a certain amount and they only brought a portion. Okay, and then they were struck down by God. Could you imagine that? So God will striking you down because you said, and all these things are fair tactics. God striking you down because you bring a portion of your money that you work for and you give it to the church. But you should have bring more. So God strikes you down and kills you. Okay? So where are we going with this? This is basically to keep people in fear that if they don't bring money, or if they make a pledge and they can't pay, God then kill them. Okay? We need to wake up, people. Nobody, listen, and that's what I said as a previous video. We cannot continue to blame white supremacy for the state that we are in at this present time. Too much information is out there. Too much people are bringing the correct information to the masses for them to continue to blame white supremacy for them being in certain situations. Yes, they have their part to play in the systematic oppression of the African diaspora and African people in Africa. Yes, but we can't continue to blame them. It's like being in an abusive, it's like a woman or a man being in an abusive relationship with a partner for 13, 14 years. And each year, the person gets worse. But you still stay in it. For whatever reason. It is the same thing with the church. The church is continuously building financial wealth for the pastor and his family. Churches are becoming businesses passed down to their children. So now you have generations of people in the same church. The church has become a business. You invest in the church has become an investment firm, basically. You invest into the church and you get nothing out of it. The only thing you get out of it is hope that you go to heaven. Okay? That's the only thing you get out of it. Hope that you go to heaven and that God forgive you for your sins. Okay? Remember now, talking to the Christians here, I know you're all and like me, that's okay. What did Jesus tell you? You have to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. You have to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So if you don't know what I mean, I can't help you. Back to the fact that people are continuously investing money into the churches and getting nothing out of it. You understand? We need to break away from that. Stop giving your money. Stop giving 1/10 of your money into the church. If you can afford to give $5 as an offering, you give it. That's what you have to give. Put your 1/10 in a savings account for your children. Okay? Imagine you got 5 children. Right? That 1/10 can help them. It can. You can't continue to put it into the church. God ain't going to multiply nothing. You understand? The only thing multiplying is the bank account from the pastor. And everything is structured so that they put everything, they'll buy a private plane, they'll buy expensive cars. We know these things, but we still continue to do it. And they put everything in the church's name. And they still can use it. Okay? So we need to come away from that. We need to get away from that. We need to get away from that. These things, that the church is a fair tactic because now we're telling you you have to fear God. Fear God. So now instead of you operating in a loose mentality and being able to grasp the elements of God that are around you, your mind begins to create atmosphere of fear, and then you cannot comprehend God that is within you. because you're operating in fear. So now you're fearing an outward being instead of being in tune with an inner being. Okay? That's plain and that's self-explanatory. Okay? So we need to come out of that fear mentality. Number two, what I want to speak about is we have to understand that all these Fortune 500 companies, okay, the companies that make almost billions of dollars in 1 week when it comes to Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, excuse me, all of these companies in one way or the other support terrorism. Okay, they do. Your money goes into their wallets, that goes into their accounts, and whoever they are working with or affiliated with, they need help, those companies fund them. Okay, these are things we need to start understanding. So when people start to understand that your Christmas shopping is used to attack you in the country where you are, I think then they will start to understand that Christmas ain't worth nothing. Why should I pay? Why should I go out there and spend? Why should people go out there and spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and then still these companies pay people to attack you? Okay, it's simple. These are fair tactics that are being used by the high and mighty. And look what's happening in this world today. Okay, the people that are on top, they are living like gods. So basically, when you fear and you reverence anything except to the God in you, that means you fear and you believe in them. It's plain and simple. Okay, they are creating an atmosphere where they are seen as gods. They are unseen. Come on, people. They are unseen, so you can't see them. But what's happening? Everything that is around you, it revolves around who? Them. Isn't that God-like status? Okay, you wake up in the morning, the birds chirping, the tree is green. Who does that? The supreme being God. Okay. Now you get up, the stock market fall, planes crashing, terrorist attacks, this happening, that happening in the community. These things are happening and you can't see who's doing it. God-like status. So we are being taught by the churches to fear and revere man, not God, man. An unseen man that can tell them, listen, give me all your money, shut down your church. So they don't fear God, who they're telling you to fear. They fear a man that can control them and is controlling them by what? By means of what? Okay? They allow them to have millions of dollars that can't be touched, and they could use it for anything except helping people, which they're supposed to be doing. So we need to start helping ourselves, people. We need to start taking our 1/10, putting it aside for us, and give the pastor $5. Tell him hold that. He need to hold that. If he don't like the $5 you give him, then he got a problem. Because the same Jesus he telling you, right? The same Jesus he telling you to believe in. Take five loaves of bread and 2 fishes and feed a multitude. So he's supposed to be able to do a lot with that $5. Okay? Check it out a lot, people. Lately, a lot of pastors, right, not referring to Jesus no more. They're just speaking about God. God. They're speaking about God. Okay? They're preparing you mentally for the men that creating God-like illusions in this world, for us to fear them, fear man. Okay, that's why they have the terrorist attacks. I mean, these are things we know, people, but I just have the feeling to just say it again. You're creating terrorist attacks. What are creating? Fear. all the machineries, and you know, go into all the old cartoons. A good friend of mine sent me a cartoons, right? And you won't believe. You won't believe. Go into all the cartoons when you were growing up. If you are between the ages of 45 to I would say like 28, go and look back at all the cartoons they had when you were growing up, and you will see the amount of symbolism, and listen to the cartoon characters talk and certain things they speak. You would be amazed to find all the information you need in there. Okay, so let's not look towards man. Look within yourself. You have the power to do anything. The God if you claiming that you believe in a God, trust me, the God you claiming to believe in has given you the power and the ability to rise up from the ashes. Okay, if we want peace on this earth today, it's not gonna come by praying. I'm not saying praying isn't good. I'm not saying fasting isn't good. Those things are good to connect you with the God within inside of you that needs to connect to the God on the outside. Okay, but we need to become conscious first of ourselves. If we don't do that, then we're going to continue to stay in this problem, because the only way to break fear is to face it. Okay, so we're going through all these struggles, we're going through all these tribulations because we don't want to stand up. Okay, especially for the African diaspora, especially for Africa. And I'll say it again, if Africa is not free, we as a people, the African diaspora, we will never be free. We will never be free, never. And another thing I want to point before I leave, you know why China, India, you know why those people can go into Africa and use all the minerals and make money? They're industrial. We are not industrial. We don't know those things. So that's why you have a lot of people fearing, black people fear to go back to Africa. Because when they figure, what am I going to do when I go back to Africa? We need to stand on the premise that we are the originators of everything. And go back to ground roots, go back to grassroots. We need to start networking with each other. And that's something for another time. But anyway, folks, wake up. Sit back, relax, turn off the TVs. Like I said before, and I'll continue to say, get rid of cable. Keep your internet, because some of the children need the internet to do projects and stuff like that. Get rid of cable. I don't care if your cable is $9.99 a month. You realize that healthy food is so expensive, but they make cable so cheap. Have you ever sat down and asked yourself, why cable is becoming so cheap? Remember before, to have a satellite, it was a lot of money. Now they're trying to make it as affordable as possible, that people who live in and don't have much still have cable. Ask yourself why. Okay, don't forget, Christmas, we need to come out of those things. Those things don't benefit us. Those things just there to make us spend money. We need to come out of the Christmas. We need to come out of all these things. Listen, I don't care if you want to be, I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care what you are. I don't care. That ain't important. The important thing is we need to awake. We need to become awake as to what is going on around us and how we can combat it. Okay, like I said before, stop spending money into companies that end up paying terrorists to attack you and bring you into fear, bring you into submission. Okay, the book of Revelations say the system, Babylon system going to fall. Okay, people who are Christians, look into these things deeper. That's why I always tell people who believe in, who say they are Christians, study Christianity. Okay, the system can't just fall. It can't just fall. Something has to happen for the system to fall. And remember, the system we are dealing with today is a system that we created. Okay? So in order to break the system, we have to starve the system. It's a method it's a method of fasting, I should say. Okay, you starve the system. Otherwise, the system, if you keep feeding yourself, what's going to happen? You're going to get full. And eventually, what's going to continue to happen? The more you eat, the more your stomach going to expand. And then now, the fat that you're giving yourself going to start looking for places to go. You understand me? And that's what's happening with the system. Okay? We need to starve the system. We need to break the system. And the only way we can break the system is with stop spending unnecessary money. Okay? I've been ramping on long enough. Just want to say, don't be a dream chaser, be a dream creator. My name is Giovanni Williams. Hey, have a blessed one, folks.